To learn a language is to have one more window from which to look at the world. Man, that is just such a beautiful thought, isn't it? But look, let's be totally honest with each other here. When you're staring down endless verb conjugations and these massive, intimidating vocabulary lists, well, that window can feel pretty firmly shut. Pried shut, even. But here's the thing we gotta remember. Language isn't just a rigid set of arbitrary rules you have to memorize. No, it's literally the foundation for endless future connections. It's a life-changing new window. So welcome to this explainer on mastering English. Whether you're feeling totally overwhelmed by the grammatical mountain ahead of you, or maybe you're just looking to refine your current approach, our goal today is actually really simple. We are going to take that daunting mountain and break it down into actionable, bite-sized daily habits and logical building blocks.
All right, here is our roadmap for today. First, the language learning mindset. Second, navigating the learning curve. Third, the architecture of English. Fourth, assembling the puzzle. And finally, your fluency roadmap. Let's dive right in.
Section 1. The language learning mindset.
You know, there's this universal frustration for adult learners. You've probably thought to yourself, I understand what they're saying, but I just can't speak. If you felt this, absolutely don't panic. You're just experiencing what's called the classic silent period. See, the cognitive load of translating thoughts in your head while simultaneously stressing over grammar, it causes massive hesitation and anxiety in real-time conversations. So what's the solution? Well, it's low-stakes practice. Try shadowing native speakers alone in your room, or find a super patient language exchange partner. The key here is to prioritize simply getting the words out over perfect grammar. Just let it flow.
There are three main pillars that support really effective language acquisition. First up is immersion. You've got to surround yourself completely. Change your smartphone settings to English. Though, a quick word of warning, just be careful not to accidentally text your boss incomplete gibberish. Second is consistency. Listen, a daily 15-minute habit fundamentally rewires your brain so much faster than a painful, grueling 3-hour cram session on a Sunday. And third, courage. You have to embrace errors as stepping stones. Seriously, focus on human connection, not absolute perfection.
Moving on to Section 2, navigating the learning curve. Okay, so progress is almost never a straight line. When you first start out, you experience this rapid, thrilling growth. Everything is new. But then, inevitably, you hit what we call the intermediate plateau. You might literally feel like you've stopped learning entirely. But here's the secret. Under the hood, your brain is actually incredibly busy, consolidating all that new data. Consistency through this frustrating flatline, this plateau, is the single defining factor that separates truly fluent speakers from those who just give up. Stick with it.
Section 3. The architecture of English.
Now, let's shift gears and look at the actual structural materials we're building with. Think of nouns and pronouns as the who and what of our stories. Nouns are your core subjects, right? Words like city, teacher, freedom. Pronouns, on the other hand, are your ultimate efficiency tools. Words like he, she, or they step in to replace those nouns so we don't end up sounding like a broken record.
Next, we have verbs, which are the literal engine driving your sentence forward. Run, think, develop. Without a verb, your sentence is completely stalled out. You're going nowhere. And right beside that engine are your adverbs. Think of adverbs like the engine's dials. They modify our actions to tell us exactly how, when, or where something happened. You know, like quickly, yesterday, or outside.
Now, if verbs are the engine of our language vehicle, adjectives are the shiny new paint job. They add color, texture, and detail. Without them, language is strictly functional, and frankly, it's pretty boring. Adjectives allow us to describe the vivid flower or the exhausted runner, and they're what really bring our stories to life.
To finish up our core architecture, we need the connectors and the emotions. Prepositions, words like in, on, or at, anchor our words in time and space. Then we have conjunctions, like and, but, or because. These act as the structural glue that holds our clauses together. And finally, interjections. Wow, ouch, oh. These are great because they bypass strict grammar entirely to just inject raw, sudden human emotion right into our structural blocks.
Which brings us to Section 4, assembling the puzzle.
All right, this is it. This is the big aha moment, where all these isolated tools suddenly work in complete harmony. Take the sentence, wow, the small dog ran quickly to the park and it barked. Every single word here has a highly specific job. Wow brings the emotion. The and small paint the picture. The, dog, and park are our subjects.
Ran and barked drive the engine, while quickly tells us exactly how it happened. To shows the direction and glues the two thoughts together, and it efficiently prevents us from repeating the word dog. It is a perfectly assembled puzzle.
And finally, Section 5, your fluency roadmap.
So how do we actually map all these newfound skills onto a highly concrete timeline? Well, let's break it down into 4 weeks. Week 1 is all about foundations, mastering those core parts of speech we just talked about. Then in Week 2, syntax and structure take over, as you start constructing actual sentences using different tenses. By Week 3, the shift is towards fluency and flow. This is where you focus on shadowing and engaging in real-life dialogues. And finally, Week 4 brings practical mastery. That means tackling presentations, learning idioms, and completely shattering that invisible speaking barrier.
The daunting mountain of language learning, it is entirely climbable. By breaking it down into a simple 15-minute daily habit, pushing bravely through that frustrating plateau, and truly understanding the core architecture of your words, fluency isn't just possible, it's honestly inevitable. So, now that you hold a complete blueprint in your hands, which piece of your new window to the world are you going to build today?